Hi, I'm Warren Sprouse. This is the Bible Forum. This is August 27, 2016. You're on the Bible Forum with me. We're talking tonight about earthquakes, killer earthquakes. You watch the news, you know that Italy has just experienced a dramatic event in terms of an earthquake. They're telling us now that the death toll is up over 247 people, and rescuers now have given up pretty much hope of finding anybody. When you watch some of the reports, you realize that this has been pretty catastrophic. Townspeople there are saying that the town probably will not be rebuilt. It's really gone pretty far. A story in the Associated Press says that a strong earthquake in central Italy reduced 3 towns to rubble as people slept early Wednesday, killing initially 73 people, injuring hundreds more as rescue crews raced to dig out survivors. The toll in that early report indicated that they expected that it would rise, especially as they reached the more remote hamlets where the scenes were characterized as apocalyptic, like Dante's Inferno, according to one witness. Complicating matters was that the area is a popular vacation spot in the summer where populations swell, making the number of people in the area at the time difficult to estimate. The mayor said the town isn't here anymore, and I believe the toll will rise. It was about a magnitude 6 earthquake that struck at 3:30 in the morning. It was felt across a broad swath of central Italy. If you see the maps, the circle pretty much goes from shore to shore. It includes Rome, where residents woke to a long swaying followed by aftershocks. The trembler shook the Lazio region, the Umbria region, the La Marche region on the Adriatic coast. Are the natural disasters increasing? Is this a sign of biblical proportion? Is this the end times beginning and we're going to see these natural disasters increase? Inquiring minds want to know. And so I went online and started doing some research to see just how this was working out. According to recent studies, apparently it is true that the number of natural and geophysical disasters taking place each year is noticeably skyrocketing. Geophysical disasters include earthquakes, volcanoes, dry rock falls, landslides, avalanches. Climatic disasters are classified as floods, storms, tropical cyclones, local storms, heat, cold waves, droughts, wildfires. In the 1970s, the average of natural disasters reported was 78. In 2004, that number had jumped to 348. In 1990, according to AccuWeather, natural disasters had affected 217 million people every single year. From 1980 to 2009, there was an 80% increase in the growth of climate-related disasters. Between 2001 and 2010, more than $1.2 trillion was lost to the increased rate of natural disasters. These are dramatic numbers, and there was a tremendous rise between 1981 and 1990. In that short period of time, 9 years or so, roughly $528 billion was either lost or spent. Storms like Typhoon Yolanda, Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Irene, as well as tsunamis and earthquakes that plague Japan is a trend that experts are watching. But what is the cause? Where are these things coming from? Scientists have concluded that the surges in climatic disasters is due to both man-made and natural elements. Contrary to popular belief, the sole cause of the increase is not attributable to global warming. Through increasing population, more injuries or deaths occur, even with minor storms. And that's because people like to vacation in tropical areas along the beaches. When these things come along, there's more people to affect. With hundreds to thousands of individuals clustered in one region, the storms can wipe out more surface area in a shorter period of time. Corresponding with the World Bank's Natural Disaster Hotspots, a global risk analysis shows that over 160 countries hold more than 1/4 of their populations in regions of high mortality risk from one or more natural disaster. Although natural disasters themselves have increased, the positive side is that deaths from these catastrophes have declined significantly. The advancement of technology has allowed for the prediction of climate-related disasters to better protect people that are in harm's way. But I would suggest also that the ability to track these things, to know what's going on, has gotten much better, and that maybe these things are not increasing, but our knowledge of them is. The reports indicate that the vast majority of deaths occur from water. The deaths are from water surges, typhoons that are spawned by earthquakes out to sea and then come in. Indonesia is apparently ground zero for tectonic movement and the danger from tsunamis. Interesting to me was, in this country primarily, fracking. Fracking seems to have contributed to a significant increase in tectonic movement, primarily in Oklahoma. Fracking is a process where liquids are pumped under pressure to deep areas to lubricate, break up the rock and release the oil or gas or whatever it might be. And it's not just high pressure water, but there are other lubricants and chemicals that are put in apparently. And what scientists find is that the water and the other stuff tends to make the fault lines a little more slippery. The pressures are already there as these plates are pushing against each other constantly, and with the fracking and the extra water they release more often, more readily. They're not creating major catastrophic events, but when you look at a map and one section of Oklahoma, it's just filled with little red dots. It's just one of those things. It comes with the territory. But are the natural disasters increasing? And the answer is yes. In the last 38 years, and apparently scientists measure things in 38-year increments, earthquakes have more than doubled in frequency. The last 38 years of the 19th century, there were only 12. In the first 38 years of the 20th century, there were 58. In the second 38 years, there were 71. In the last 38 years, ending in 2014, there were 164. But I caution you with the statistic. Is it that there are more of them, or is it that we see them, know about more of them? There's a company called IRIS, Incorporated Research Institutions for Seismology, and it says that it is more our ability to track them, to know about them, than it is the increase in frequency. They estimate more than 1.3 million earthquakes occur every year. And that's just those that are from 2 to 2.9 on the Richter scale. They estimate that earthquakes annually, worldwide, would be in the neighborhood of 1,319 in the 5 to 5.9 category, 134 in the 6 to 6.9 category, 17 in the 7 to 7.9, and 1 at 8 or higher. The Italian earthquake registered 6.2. The deaths from natural disasters have decreased. Our ability to know and to actually see these global events in real time has intensified our interest and our fear. The tectonic movement tends to be in those areas with the highest density of population. I mentioned Indonesia, and as well as some of our more popular, if not most popular, vacation areas, largely coastal. The deaths from earthquakes are from the flooding, from the tidal waves. The recent earthquake in Italy is unique. It occurred in the central part of that peninsula. Italy has been home to 41 earthquakes just in the last year. 15 earthquakes have occurred in the same central Italian city area in the last week. The big one measured 6.2. The rest were 4.2. But the Bible predicts hurricanes, it predicts earthquakes, it also predicts global famine. It predicts all sorts of human misery. We have yet to see that kind of misery being visited upon us. This is the natural ebb and flow of these tectonic plates, given the factors at work. Another issue that drives not just people who watch this from a biblical perspective, but scientists and governments around the world are looking at trying to overcome the issue of famine. Is there a solution to worldwide famine? Well, a report prepared by the United Nations Summit on Sustainability says yes. They say that by 2030 there will be no more hunger. For the 795 billion people around the world, which in 2015 were massively malnourished, this has got to be good news. The heads of state and governments of over 150 countries have determined to wipe out hunger. Zero hunger is one of their aims. Since food security and disaster risk influence each other considerably, what is shown in what is called the World Risk Index 2015 is food security. It shows the global hotspots for high disaster risk lie in Oceania, that is Australia and New Guinea, in Southeast Asia, in Central America, and in the southern Sahel. That was a new one for me. That's Indonesia. Therefore, according to UN University report, countries like the Solomon Islands ranked 8th, Papua New Guinea ranked 10th, Guinea-Bissau ranked 15th, are all very strongly exposed to natural hazards and owing to their poor economic and social situations, particularly vulnerable. All this is largely useless information in terms of the biblical prophecies, because during the Great Tribulation things will be significantly different, largely due to God's direct intervention, his direct judgment upon this world, a world that will be dominated by Satan himself. Today the world is increasingly abandoning and in all semblance of godliness, politically, economically, socially, religiously. What we're seeing is a dramatic shift away from absolute standards to what are referred to as more workable standards. And by workable is meant anti-God, godless standards. Our economic situation here and in nations around the world is a case in point. The money in your pocket isn't worth what it says it's worth. They have manipulated it. That is godless. The Bible calls for a just weight and measure. They unhooked our money from any silver, gold, or any kind of a standard, and they have just diluted it ever since. One day, our banks are going to have a holiday. They're going to shut down for 2 or 3 days, maybe a week or 2 weeks, and they will open up with a new value. Oh, no, it's happened. 1929. In the 30s, banks did this sort of thing. When we talk about what is right and what is wrong, right is now a relative issue. It's no longer rooted in biblical philosophy. Concepts like good or decent, even biblical, terms like healthy, have all changed. They're very subjective. They fluctuate according to man's moral standards. And the visible church, which is not the biblical church, is following suit. And the God in heaven has a case against all of this and more. And the Bible indicates that his judgment will be from natural disaster, but also from divine intervention. Those left behind after the rapture of true believers out of this world, will face a significantly greater moral and spiritual challenge than anybody has ever faced in the past.